It's so fun. You get so drunk. You start a bonfire outside. You fucking firebomb anybody that tries to get through the gates. A lot of times it's your cousin, you know, you don't even care.
Just finished his 130th movie, Tom Arnold, everybody!
I'm going to talk about some jobs I had. I had a great job. I worked at a meatpacking plant for 3 years. Anybody else done that? The Hormel meatpacking plant in Tubman, Iowa. By the way, if you work on the kill floor of a meatpacking plant, you will get very drunk every day. Okay? There's a documentary called American Dream and won an Academy Award in 1990 about our meatpacking plant. I voted for every strike that came up. I didn't even read the paperwork. You know, and by the way, man, it's so fun. You get so drunk, you start a bonfire outside, you fucking firebomb anybody that tries to get through the gates. A lot of times it's your cousin, you know, you don't even care. And then people were interviewing us outside, they're like, why are you striking? I go, I have no idea, but it's fucking fun, man, I know that. And if you watch that documentary, you see what happens. The company just fired us and just changed the name of the business, and then they hired people from other countries to work for half the pay. Yeah, anyway, it didn't work out too well. But my best job, I think, was McDonald's. So after that, I went to the University of Iowa, and I needed money, right? So first I applied at Pizza Hut, but they made it take a lie detector. So, and then they ask you questions, you know, real personal ones like, have you ever stolen food? And earlier in my life, I worked on a farm. I grew up on farms, and I was baling hay for a guy. We all did for 14 hours. And this guy was supposed to pay us $1.40 an hour, and he was an asshole. And he only gave us 70 cents an hour because he said we drank too much water. So I sold one of his cows. Anyway, that's technically stealing. I think it's technically, if I did it for real, I don't consider it stealing, but anyway. So, and I had like a fucking Pinto. It was a tough, anyway, but I had those bungee cord. I mean, he was safe. Anyway, it's a long story. That's true. So I get this job at McDonald's in Iowa City, and it is the best job because if you unload the truck on Thursdays, you get one meal of whatever you want to eat. So I would have 8 Big Macs with quarter pounder meat and a Diet Coke, and then I would start my work day. You know, feeling totally sick and disgusting. And it's shocking I became a drug addict because of that. Anyway, but I loved there. I got to play Ronald McDonald for the kids on Sundays with terrible hangovers. It was just a wonderful place to work. And all my friends loved it. You know how your friends love it when you work in a place like that, right? They fucking line up there. And they want free food, you know? And it's really hard because they got computers. So you got to pay attention and keep track of the food, and you have to pretend you've thrown food into the hopper that was in there too long, and you've thrown it away. So when you're giving away free food, and you know, and by the way, all that food that was in the hopper that they put into a trash thing, I take home every night. And my roommates, we love it. And sometimes we get a bad fillet of fish or something, and somebody gets really sick. But anyway, otherwise it's a waste. It's only been there 12 hours. That's fine. So. And anyway, so my buddy Mo, who's still my buddy, you know, he comes in every Friday and he wants a bag of cheeseburgers. So I give him a bag of cheeseburgers. I give all my friends whatever. And then I have to figure out on the computer, you know, because it makes you real smart working there. And then I see Mo, he's talking to the owner, Kevin, and they're pointing at me. And I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, this customer says you forgot some of his cheeseburgers. Like my old fucking buddy is narky on me, who I just gave free. You know, that's the kind of friends I have. So I also had a part-time job at Paul's Discount that this really helped. And what I did at Paul's Discount was every day I'd go into work and then I'd get a gym bag off the shelf and I'd fill it up with stuff that friends wanted me to steal, and I'd go home with a full gym bag, and the owner would take me home. And every night it was scary because it still had the things on it, and the clips, and I just prayed he'd shut off the security system as I walked by the cash registers. And so it was a very exciting place to work. And then one day a beer distributor came in and said he wanted some golf clubs and stuff, and I said, I'll make you a deal. You drop off 50 cases of beer at my house, and I'll make this trade. So it became, a good deal for everybody. And it was a Friday night Iowa football game, so I knew we were going to be partying very hard. And also McDonald's, we had this game going. And every time you bought a bag of food, we put a game ticket in, and you could win a Big Mac or a big breakfast or $5. And so I was getting ready to leave. It was Friday night, and I see a box of those, 6,000. And I'm like, fuck that. I'm taking it home. So I take home the box, and me and my friends stayed up all night. Our fingernails were just destroyed because you got to rip the sides off. And in the morning, we had 157 free big breakfasts. And we did up all night with the free beer, and it was like a real classy party, like, a brunch or something. So anyway, we go down to McDonald's. Since I work there, I can't cash it in, but my buddy Mo can. So I park behind the dumpster, and Mo goes in, and he goes up to the front, and he puts them up there, and he says, I'd like 157 free big breakfasts. And then the lady goes, oh, I'm sorry, sir. Did you not read the fine print? It's only one per visit. And my friend Mo is pretty smart. He's like, boy, the kids at the home are going to be pretty sad. And Kevin, the owner, who's still the owner, runs over and goes, sir, we will honor those for the kids. So the next thing I see is my buddy Mo with a giant cardboard box full of big breakfasts. I'm like, holy shit, we did it. We did it. Brilliant. And then right behind him is Kevin, the owner of McDonald's, with another big box of big breakfasts. And I realized I'm going to be fired in about 5 seconds. And Kevin, that guy, he's such a jerk. He didn't even take the food back. He just looked at me in the car and just gave me that, I'm so disappointed. I considered you assistant manager material, Tom. You could have ended up at Hamburger U. Anyway, so that's my last day at McDonald's. So later in life, I know it was sad. It was a great job. Later in life, I got sober. And when you get sober, you have to make a list of all the people you need to make amends to. And mine was a pretty extensive list. And once I got past the girlfriends whose credit I'd ruined, I got to McDonald's and Paul's Discount, and I sent them checks. And I called Kevin, and he's such a nice guy, he cried. And he wouldn't take the money. He had to give it to the Ronald McDonald House. How nice is that, right? Because I'd stolen, $10,000 worth of food. I mean, that's pretty, that is, the one thing they did do when I left, they stopped putting pockets on the uniforms. Because anyway. But there's a happy ending because one time I hosted Saturday Night Live, and I got to play a McDonald's manager, and it was when Bill Clinton was president. And would always go to McDonald's, and the great Phil Hartman, who I love too. Yeah, everybody. Those people that I love are dead now, apparently. But Phil Hartman was wonderful, and I played Kevin. I had his name tag on there as a tribute to that guy. So that's a happy ending to that story. Thank you guys very much.
Tom Arnold, y'all.